Hey, this is Mike Herrera. You're listening to Magnified Pod.
This is a yelling podcast. From poking at you to plans and everything in between, this is Magnified Pod, the only podcast that discusses culture, religion, politics, and the entire discography of everyone's favorite left coast punks, MX, PX. And we're back.
Yeah.
I'm Andrew.
I'm John.
And this is our podcast. Woo. John, how was your week? Did you have a really edifying week?
Yeah, I'm chomping on a cough drop right now, so I don't spend this entire episode coughing into the mic, which I have done for the last few eps, so feeling better about my chances tonight.
Yeah, it's almost like you've been doing some low-key ASMR instead of directly.
I got some feedback from a listener slash my friend slash coworker today.
Okay.
Which was they listened to the Anchor Valley wine episode.
Okay.
She really liked it, except for when we swished the wine around close to the mic.
But does she know that the tagline is Anchor Valley wine, you feel it over your teeth?
I told her, and she didn't seem moved by that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure it's a woman.
Yes.
Okay. I'm sure she then appreciated Jenny chastising us in the moment.
Yeah, I think so.
So, John, speaking of feeling things over our teeth, so we're doing Tumbledown.
Yeah, we are.
And there is no more appropriate beverage to enjoy while listening to Tumbledown than whiskey.
Correct.
So I went out and bought some of Chicago's finest. This is a whiskey that you will remember from our self-titled episode because I got destroyed on it.
We will barely remember.
It is the Koval single barrel bourbon whiskey distilled in Chicago, certified organic grains.
That's right.
This is what's unique. They use corn and millet. So
love that millet.
Yeah, man. It's that ancient grain, bro. Got to get some ancient grains in your whiskey.
It's going to bring out the flavor profiles of the sour punch bites we might have a little later.
Well, here's the thing, though, bro. I discovered this. So, unfortunately, I failed to bring any candy with me this week. Next time we'll have to do some ranchers, some JRs, and some Skitties. Get some of those Skittles.
We're gonna do it.
But the sour punch bites, I discovered this because I was at a friend's place.
I wondered what the context of that text was.
Okay, so last episode, John and I talked about sour punch bites and how there is jam. And then, like, the next day or two or something, it was like soon after, I was at a friend's place, and a mutual friend and his partner pulls out a tub of the sour punch straws, like the individually wrapped ones. Yeah. And I was like, what?
It was the Lord.
It's so bizarre
telling you needed them.
That I haven't had these in a million years. And the same week we talk about it, he goes ahead and pulls out a whole plastic tub of them.
Wonderful.
And I was like, oh, snap. And so I grabbed one and ate it. And then I looked at the ingredients, and they have wheat in them. Oh. It's like the second ingredient. It's
not millet?
Not millet. I mean, sour punch.
So you can't have them?
No, because I'm on this restricted diet, elimination diet right now. It's actually also one of the reasons I'm able to enjoy Koval.
I mean, that's a fair trade-off.
Yeah.
No sour punch bites for some world-class bourbon.
Yeah. So why don't I...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So satisfying.
It's very satisfying. John,
Amen.
May I pour you a little bit?
Yes, please. Yes. Oh, that sounds lovely. I will not swish it around.
Dude, and there's plenty more where that came from.
Let's not make it, a night to not remember.
No promises, bro.
Let's drink.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Maybe not till we fall down.
Yeah, just till we pod well.
There we go.
That's good. Brings out the cough drop.
Oof.
Flavor profiles.
What do you have? A little menthol? What you got going on over there?
Yeah, it's kind of licoricey. I'm into it.
All right. Okay. So, John, there are lots of things to discuss in this episode. One of them is Arthur, because I was fully expecting a, hammer justice of God coming down upon you
to smite me,
and your hot takes, and that never happened.
Yeah,
It was sort of a lukewarm.
Yeah,
like some people were like, I don't know, I'm not really into Arthur, or had a hard time getting into Arthur.
Yeah, I was a little surprised. I expected to be chastised, as I am sometimes over some opinions. But yeah, I feel like I'm more or less in line with the folks we heard from, that it was like, yeah, I don't dislike them, but they're fine.
You got away unscathed.
Yeah, I guess so.
And we will get to Tumbledown later,
Yeah, we will.
obviously. And I have been spectacularly wrong in my assessment of what I think you like. But I swear to God, if you come anywhere close to having the same opinions about Arthur.
My Arthur thoughts were controversial, and I didn't want to spoil anything, but I gotta say, Tumbledown fucking rules.
Yes.
I was so pumped.
Oh my God. Oh, that makes me, okay, we're only 7 minutes in, but that takes a huge burden.
Yeah, man.
I'm super relieved.
I almost texted you during the week, oh my God, and this song rules, but I was like, I don't want to give it away.
Yes.
But yes.
Okay. That is an enormous relief. So, okay. We have some other things we're going to discuss in this episode, but we have some voicemails to get to that have to do with some of the takes from this last episode where we talked to Arthur, as we were just saying. So let's hear from our boy, our dad, Jordan.
Yes.
Downstairs.
Mm-hmm.
Hey guys, your boy Danny Stairs again. Calling. I never thought I'd come to this, but I gotta say, I haven't listened to this Arthur episode. Have to take back my y'all blow. Edit that. Now it's just John blow.
Ooh.
Come on, man. You take it easy on this stuff. This is good music, and you trashed a lot of it, man. Not feeling it, bro. Not feeling it at all. Still love you more than I love Andrew, so that guy's an asshole. Don't tell him I said that, though, please, John. Thank you. Anyhow, Magpie for life, guys. Bye.
I don't know how I do manage to get out of things unscathed, because I'd say you generally are the more supportive, positive-minded person.
Bro, I don't know. We hate every album. I try and be supportive, but somehow I'm
the asshole.
I'm the asshole. Yep. But I think he still gives you more love somehow.
Yeah.
In that voicemail where he says you blow, but I'm an asshole.
Sure. Well, just to reiterate, I don't dislike them. They just
right.
Not my favorite.
Yeah. Danny Stairs has another issue with us related to our girl April.
Hey guys, your boy Danny Stairs again. Calling a follow-up to April's message. She did not say Magpie for life, and y'all didn't say anything about it. So apparently you only just don't like me, and it's only a big deal when I don't do it. Maybe it's because I'm not a cute girl or something. I don't know. But I can look sexy for you if that's what it takes. All right, bye. Magpie.
There we
cut
go.
him off.
Okay, cut him off for the Magpod for life. Okay, look, Danny, we have different expectations. You know, you call in and call us assholes, and you say we blow, and all April does is say kind, edifying things, and she's a sweetheart, and we appreciate her. But you know, don't undersell yourself, man. You're cute too.
Yeah,
I've
seen you in your sparkly uniform. Your sparkly unicorn uniform.
Yeah, your I guess uniform is the
your corn form.
Yeah. Yeah, man, you can get it in that unicorn uniform. Yeah, but you know, you don't make any promises that you can't keep. Let's just say that. But John, he does have some more good things to say about you.
All right, boys, it's your boy Danny Stairs again. I know this is number 10 for this week, but I just got to call back. I take back everything negative I've said on the earlier voicemails because it's all go better in the outro with the toodle. Keep up the great work, guys. Magpod for life.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, Danny Stairs had texted me that you totally redeemed yourself with your Toodaloo harmony backing vocals at the end of that up.
It was one of our finer moments.
I mean, I don't want to take away from the glory that was your moment, but
I think we need to get in touch with Mike about a remix.
Yes.
Add some of those Toodaloos.
I mean, just if you're going to start a song with Toodaloo, you just might as well bookend it. End it with the Toodaloo.
Yeah.
Just lean into the Toodaloo.
That's what I always say.
It's I think that was on the Potter family crest.
I think so, yeah.
Lean into the Toodaloo.
Lean into the Toodaloo.
There was this was something that was in a Patreon exclusive part of the episode that Danny Stairs took exception with.
You motherfucker. This is your boy Danny Stairs. I got to the end of this episode where you threatened to revoke my Patreon punk status. You can fire me as your attorney. You can kick me out of the goddamn basement. But you can't take my fucking first number one Patreon punk status away. I will burn you to the ground. And I'll still hear it. So, there. I'm throwing it out there. You try to take that from me, I'm stealing Harriet when I'm in Chicago. So, that's all there is to it. Magpod for life.
I love I'll burn you down, followed by Magpod for life.
That not only that, but he's going to kidnap your dog.
Yeah. Well, if he gives her an okay life, I guess that's not the worst thing that could happen. I don't remember.
I will fight him. Harriet is... Every time I'm over here, it's just it's a joy seeing her.
You were observing her scratching her back against the wall earlier, and were concerned for her well-being.
Yeah, I was down here by myself, and I hadn't seen this behavior from Harriet before, but as you all know, Harriet makes adorable grunting noises, but she was full-bodied, like rubbing herself on the carpet, being like,
she's having a good time.
And I thought, like, is John's dog having a seizure?
It's Friday tonight. She's just partying.
That's how Harriet parties. Just a full body scratch.
That's right.
And I was like, I was genuinely concerned for a moment. I was like, oh no, am I going to have to deliver the bad
Your
news?
dog is having a problem.
And I told you, you're like, oh yeah, it's just getting those scratches.
Yep. I don't remember threatening to revoke Danny Stairs.
That was me.
Okay, asshole.
That's why I'm an asshole. Okay. Well, let's go to CJ. Let's go up to the sketch because he has a take.
An icy take?
Yeah, an icy take.
Hey boys, CJ here. Happy 2019 to both of you.
You too.
And it's going to be a good one, I think. It's going to be a good year. for MXPX and everything. You know, I have no doubt they're going to announce. They're going to wait as long as they can to announce your Chicago show, though. They'll do it. They'll do it. I wanted to. I haven't got through the whole Arthur episode yet, but Tom C. I love this guy, so I had to call in, and I mean, I think Tom C. He comes across like a dick, right?
Right.
Correct.
And he's putting you guys off for months and months. No communication. But this guy, I gotta give him props. Here's why. He not single-handedly, but he is the biggest reason that turned this MXPX ship around, or revitalized it, is what I should say. It's my understanding that in the Secret Weapon years, Secret Weapon, but Tumbledown years, and then leading up to Plans Within Plans, Mike was pretty much doing everything. Like, he was managing, he was booking, he was the day-to-day, and he was trying to write and he was trying to keep the guys together, Tom and Yuri at the time. Like, I just think he was so worn down with all these hats he was wearing. I think it was around 2013 that Tom C. came in the picture, and, like, literally it was what they needed. Like, he needed a guy to be a dick for him, so Mike didn't have to be. And yeah, like Tom C., he can be a hard ass, but fuck, man, is he good at it. He's good at managing this band. He's by far the best manager MXPX has ever had. And so I love this guy. I love that he finally dug into you a little bit. I love the visual of Andrew sitting at his mom and dad's place in his onesie at Christmas Eve listening to Tom C. rip him a new one. It's so good. But,
fucking hilarious.
That's probably not how it happened, but that's the visual I have, so I'm going to stick with that. But yeah, he's a great guy, and I'm glad that he ripped into you guys a little bit, and it's all in good fun, and it's it's what Tom C. does. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the rest of this episode. Chat soon, boys. Make pod for now.
Whoa, little backslide there.
Feeling a little skeptical, are we, CJ? So here's what I'll say. He's definitely good at being a dick, if that is what they hired him to do. He excels at that. I will say that where MXPX is now, it's been a great year.
Yeah.
And the ability for Mike to focus on the creative, 100% I'm on board for that. And the hand that Tom C. has played and getting the band to where it is, credit where credit is due. Yeah, so if MXPX and team needed a bulldog and someone to get the job done, well then that's the guy they got. But keep in mind, and this will kind of be where we let this lie, but we're just a couple of dudes, fans of the band, doing our own thing, trying to support a band we love, and we're not the kind of guys that go out of our way to just be dicks to people for no reason. And I don't know, maybe that's how some people get down, but we always balance our joking around out with a little bit of love, then a little bit of affirmation, if you will.
Yeah.
There's a couple Hufflepuffs over here.
Hey man, we're doing our best, people. We might not get every detail right every time, but this is a labor of love, DIY, punk style.
Yeah, man.
We're not connected to the band in any way. We don't claim this to be an official podcast.
Never have.
We're just couple guys that like this band a lot. So
Yeah.
that's the deal with that.
That is the deal with that, and that is all we will say. But we have some more New Year's greetings.
Happy New Year! Whoa!
The cackler has returned to
Cackler.
send us some New Year's greetings.
I'm glad he wasn't too put off by my inability to know a song that we were talking about in the same episode.
That is true. He did not bus toss you. But you know, the last episode we got a voicemail from a gentleman and
Across the pond.
and we have a voicemail from somebody that has called in before to take issue with our boy Nigel.
Hey guys, Mike Mullen again. I just want to say one thing. You know, the last episode and the bonus episode with that Nigel guy, you know, he claims that, you know, he have a solid set list with those 10 songs, but nah, he totally forgot about a Barbie Girl by MXPX.
Yep.
You know, the cover. That was the best one they've ever done.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Mike.
Mike Moen / Cackler.
Yep. Yeah. That infamous non-MXPX
Right.
Barbie Girl song.
Just another thing we got wrong.
Yeah.
When we were like,
By
oh yeah,
home-
we don't remember that cover or whatever.
Because it was by Homegrown.
Right. Yeah.
Womp womp. But we do have Nigel. He's back.
He's back.
He has some more thoughts.
Hey there, Jits. This is Nigel from North Kensington.
Yep.
Long-time listener, second-time caller. Just wanted to clear up a little bit of the grievances that you might have had about North Kensington. Wanted to share a little bit of enlightenment about our place that we call home. We listen to lots of punk rock, like Sex Pistols and MXPX and other great punk rock bands like Offspring and maybe Mayfest and the Gimme Gimmes. Anyways, you were wondering about our little home in the UK. It's called North Kensington. It's
Sure.
an area west of London, England,
Okay.
north of Notting Hill,
Okay.
and White City, south of Kensal Green, in the Royal Borough of Kensington and Chelsea. The Grand Union Canal forms the boundary with Kensal Green
Okay.
and the Westway Fly over Notting Hill. The names North Kensington and Ladbroke Grove describe the same area. North Kensington is where most of the violence occurred of the Notting Hill race riots of 1958
occurred.
where they occurred, and where Notting Hill Carnival
started.
Ladbroke Grove Tube Station was called Notting Hill from its opening in 1864 until 1880. And Notting Hill was Ladbroke Grove between 1919 when it...
Okay, Nigel. It's clear you're just reading off the Wikipedia page because we're looking at the Wikipedia page. So, you know, we can do that. And maybe we could have done that ourselves. So maybe that's your way of saying the internet exists. You can look up North Kensington just as easily as you could have. Or the alternative is maybe you're not from North Kensington after all. What?
That was my mind being blown.
Yeah. And he goes on reading for a while. So let's see if I can find where he stops reading.
will have to be built in the area anyway. Sitting at Kensal Rise, rather than next to Paddington itself, will provide a new station to regenerate the area. You must not be interested in these sort of things.
We're not.
The point is, we listen to lots of great punk rock like The Clash, and even earlier back to the days of the Trogs with Wild Thing, and some of my other favourites like Does Your Chewing Gum Lose Its Flavour on the Bedpost Overnight? That's another great native of North Kensington. You should listen to him any day of the week, is what I say. original punk rock pioneer, in my opinion, is that lad who sang that song. Does your chewing gum lose its flavor?
And Nigel ran out the 3-minute limit by reading us North Kensington facts.
Well, that was enlightening.
Yes. Thank you, Nigel from North Kensington.
Indeed.
We appreciate the history lesson of your hometown.
Cheers.
A first time, maybe first time, long time.
This is Reese Roper from Five Iron Frenzy. Shike, that was not Reese Roper of Five Iron Frenzy. I will name I will remain anonymous. Thank you. Good day.
That's how we want it, Phantom Cackler.
Yes. With each new voicemail, I am just more and more in love with you.
Yes. Samesies. I don't want to hear who you are. This is just too enjoyable for us. Okay, so those are our voicemails for the week. Thank you for calling in.
Yes.
John, we put out a question of the week today.
QOT dubs?
A QO motherfucking T-dubs.
Mm-hmm.
And it was about the sort of the weird time in the late 90s, early 2000s that was sort of known as the purity movement or true love waits. That's kind of the terms that you would hear, where in the evangelical world, there were all these conferences and pledges that these evangelical groups would encourage young people to sign, encouraging them to save themselves until marriage and not have sex until marriage. Mm-hmm. But it was always couched in this sort of, if you don't, you are essentially giving away pieces of yourself to every partner, and then finally the person that you end up being with is going to either get a used person,
right,
or get essentially everybody that you've ever dated or slept with as this kind of metaphor for you take all of this with you, and you're giving this, you can't fully give your heart to your new spouse because you've given it away too much. So we put out this question asking people, what, if they were part of it, what their feelings about it are now. But if you didn't participate, what were your thoughts as an outside observer? And we got a bunch of responses, and I was able to have a conversation with our friend, Dr. Jen Mandigo, or Dr. Chad, if you will.
Friend and therapist of the pod.
Yes, she's our personal therapist. But I'll get to that conversation a little bit later. But we had an email from our boy Nikki P, who sent in pretty readily. He sent in a little thought and wanted to give his experience. He said the whole purity movement was huge in my youth group and all the other youth groups in my hometown. When I was in high school, there was a local organization called the Red Letter Rebels, who are dedicated to spreading the message of sexual purity. And the name is kind of strange in retrospect that Jesus didn't really say anything about sex. For those who aren't in the know, the Red Letter in Red Letter Rebels refers to, in a lot of Bibles, the passages where Jesus was speaking were in red, so as to call those out, I guess, as more important, or I don't know how that became a thing. Do you know any background as to why that's a
there's
thing?
also a group called Red Letter Christians, which is like on the progressive end of things.
Oh.
And the point of that is supposed to be like, hey, here's what Jesus actually said. So this name is ironic given the fact that, as Nick says, Jesus doesn't say anything about waiting for marriage in the Bible.
That is true. Anyway, I'll continue. He says, but anyways, every year they would hold a rally with worship and guest speakers who are almost always people who had sex before marriage and had totally regretted it. I played in the worship band for 2 of these rallies. I was definitely having sex, though, which is funny now, but back then I felt super guilty about it and believed that if I engaged with other people who were committed to purity, prayed real hard, and got a purity ring, that God would eventually deliver me from sexual impurity. The whole thing really convoluted my whole sexual maturation, and I assumed that it did for others who experienced the movement as well. That movement really took advantage of the guilt and shame, in my opinion, that is so present in teenagers' lives in order to convert them to what these evangelical communities and denominations believed is an object moral truth. I know that women have been especially affected by this movement negatively, and it has further complicated the already complicated endeavor of monogamous relationships. I know it has for my wife, Kelly, and me. Kelly and I are still Christians, and I don't think she feels the exact same way I feel, but fuck the purity movement. Not just the church, but every global community in general needs to develop some sort of sexual guidance curriculum or standard that allows humans to healthily grow in their sexuality in their communal context and age group. I don't know what that looks like, but that's just where I'm at, and I think that our world maybe would be a better place if people were actually given tools for sexual maturation and sexual activity. It's one of the few things that I am passionate about and will definitely get on my soapbox if given a chance. Thanks for the time, everyone. Many smooches, Nikki P.
Amen, Nikki.
A-fucking-men. And there are so many parts of this that the whole thing about engaging with people who are committed to purity, praying, and got a purity ring that God would eventually deliver me from sexual impurity. That was my hope as well. That all of my impurity and my sin and my lust, that I just had to find the right combination of things to keep me from thinking and acting the way I was. And the guilt and the shame that he mentions, it was already it was already part of my life.
Right.
And it didn't really take much to kind of add fuel to that fire, because it was already very much present in my life. So,
did you have the ring?
I didn't have the ring. No.
Okay.
It was, I went to a number of youth conferences growing up, and I think it was just always, so many hormones, they're just like where all these kids are in this room feeling these super intense feelings about religion and about Jesus, and they need to press everything down. And it's so impossible to try and navigate all of that because you feel things so intensely as a teenager, and to tell a kid that is just exploding with hormones, it's like, no, bro. Like, meanwhile, all of these people who are being like, yeah, don't have sex, are probably very much boning, like, all the time. I mean, to Nikki P's point, but he was having sex and he was on the stage.
Right.
And so I'm not calling him, a hypocrite or anything like that, but
Yeah.
these people that get up there, especially when you look at things like, you go into churches that are opposed to same-sex relationships, and they're like, well, all you have to do is be in a monogamous, non-sexual, relationship.
Right.
And that's all you have to do. Meanwhile, they get to go home and have their spouse and have sex whenever
Right.
they want. And it's just so much easier for them to be like, oh, yeah, just make these proclamations.
Right.
And it's devastating because it does. I mean, again, like Nikki P says, it's already difficult being in relationships.
Right.
And this is just one other thing that makes it so difficult.
Yep. Yeah. What a strange thing to be the focus of, a culture or a movement or whatever, that this was such a central component to it. It's so weird when you step back and think about it, because it's like, how little does this have to do with, bringing up people to be like Christ in their life? Like,
imagine if they motivated these young people for literally anything
right.
else.
Yeah, totally.
Take these energetic young people and say, let's motivate them to for homelessness or
Right.
nonviolence or engaging in just like literally
Anything Jesus talked about.
anything Jesus talked about.
Yeah.
Loving your neighbor. So like, just trying to help lift people up rather than like internalizing all of your shame.
Right.
In an effort that, like, what even is purity?
Right.
What does that even mean? I mean, yes, not having sex in their definition, not having sex until you're married, but the act of sex isn't inherently impure because it's allowed in marriage, but there's a switch that goes off.
Right.
And you're just magically supposed to
You're expected to, suddenly
make that switch. And this thing that you have had driven into you that you don't do no matter what.
Right.
And then guess what? It's okay now and everything's fine, except that's not always the case. And some people on our post, shirt size small / Christine said, "Oh, that's cute. I wasn't part of any such ideology." And she's lucky.
Yeah.
She's super fortunate.
Yeah. I somehow, like a lot of things we've talked about on the pod, managed to be sort of adjacent to this stuff without having it traumatize me like it did for a lot of our friends and people from that world. So like, I always sort of knew about it, but didn't experience it myself. But I've seen firsthand how many people have been harmed by it. So,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
I don't think most people have the choice.
No, people were victims of our circumstances. It's not like as a kid I had much of an option about where I went to church or if I went to church or any of that. April said, fuck you, crazy people, I'm getting laid. That's she was always punk AF.
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't care. She was going to, you do you and do other people. That was her way of doing things. And I'm, David, I'm gonna butcher his last name. Robledo.
Sounds good.
I'm definitely butchering your last name, bro. I'm sorry. But he said, totally cheesy, always made fun of it. And I wish, now that I'm older, I'm so much more skeptical of things. And I wish, my efforts to be a good Christian kid came with a dose of skepticism, but I was always buying in. I always bought in and went about it with being earnest and just going after it.
Yeah. Well, and as we've talked about, like, you sort of did those things with the understanding that you were part of a sort of counterculture almost, right? Like, that you were part of something that was espousing these ideals and values that you could hold on to. So it makes sense in a way that people think that they are standing in contrast to the ways of the world or whatever.
I thought being Christian was punk.
Right.
Because I thought it was against the flow. I thought it was countercultural.
Right. And it should be.
Yes. It should be. Jen Mandigo said she has her promise ring somewhere still. She got it when she was 15. And Sierra was part of a True Love Waits play at church, but lost the ring they gave us with the pledge and ended up losing something else too.
LOL.
LOL. Talking about the V card. And we got Sarah Beth said she didn't have a ring or sign a pledge, but did choose to stay a virgin till marriage. And I overall did too. That was my I fooled around with a high school girlfriend and everything, and you can't imagine the guilt I felt about that.
Right.
I truly thought it was one of the worst things I'd ever done. And I carried that weight with me well into college. Yeah. It was very hard for me to accept that I was like, this is wrong. This is objectively immoral and non-Christian.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was talking to my wife, Dana, tonight about this topic, and she didn't go through any of this. She did not have this community concept in the church that she was growing up in, but she also missed out on youth group and in middle school and high school. So I think I told her, I'm like, you are very, very lucky as a young woman that in the church that you did not get this sort of message. Specifically, I mean, I don't know. It's very damaging. I'm almost 35 and I still have fucked up sexuality issues.
Yeah, I remember my wife Jenny talking about how in their youth group they would do this activity where they would take a piece of tape or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And either pass it around or stick it on stuff or whatever. And by the time,
well, yeah, you stick it on. What you do is you take a piece of tape and you put it on your arm or something, and then you rip it off and it hurts. But the more times you put it on somebody else, it loses its stickiness, and it essentially, there are any number of ways that this metaphor is
pizza, right? That
pizza in this article that we're going to talk about, a chewed piece of gum.
Right.
There's all sorts of it's so dehumanizing to compare the fullness of one's humanity and boil it down to some idiotic activity to say you are used.
Right.
You are chewed up.
Mm-hmm.
This one element of your humanity, we elevate it so much that you are discarded or partially digested food.
Yeah. So unlike anything that Christ talked about.
You don't remember that verse in Matthew?
He's like, this is the Message translation, but he's like, check it out, bro. I got some Scotch tape, loses its stickiness, and they're like,
like, and he's like, bro, you're just like chewed up pieces of unleavened bread, bro.
Yeah.
Classic Jesus.
Yeah, sounds just like him. It's one of those things where it's like simultaneously so ridiculous because it's like, how did this become the thing that was central to this movement and this culture? But on the other hand, it's like, well, it makes perfect sense because that culture was always about control.
Yep.
And what better way to control young people, control culture, especially women, than with this kind of thinking. So
yeah. In this article, this is an article that Jen Mandigo had posted and I'd seen. It's in the website, and I think they have a publication
too, yeah.
It's called Bust, and it's an article called "Whatever Happened to Those Girls Who Signed Purity Pledges? Hint: It's not good." And they track with some people, some women, and one of them had waited until she was 27 to have sex, and her boyfriend, who was 35 at the time, was, when she told him that she was a virgin, that he was disturbed that, like, you're in your late 20s and you haven't had sex, and so she thought she was doing the right thing, and then they ended up breaking up, and she had to it was devastating, and she needed therapy to begin to untangle her sexuality and sense of self from her religious past. And these women who they talk about Joshua Harris's book, I Kiss Dating Goodbye, that he wrote when he was 21 about urging young people to, instead of date, to do courtship. Essentially meaning, if you're going to be involved in a relationship with somebody, you better intend for this to end in marriage. And if we all think about the very first person that we dated, or the first person that we had a relationship with, if we had to marry them, I don't think many people would be necessarily happy with that. It's one of the reasons that we date, is because you're looking for compatibility, not just someone to have sex with because you want to like, oh, I just want to make sure that, I'm not used and I'm not like being impure, so we might as well get married.
Right.
It's so, again, I say, dehumanizing to make the complexity of human relationship about one single issue.
Right. Yep. And you talked to Jen a little bit?
I did.
Did you have more to say before we get to that?
I did. I didn't know if you had anything.
No.
If you had anything to say. But yeah, let's get to some of my conversation with Jen Mandigo. We talked today for quite a while, and I'm not going to play the whole conversation, but I wanted to play part of it for you, and we can discuss. This is something that John and I had talked about wanting to discuss in the past, and I think April had sent me there's a documentary with Joshua Harris, kind of.
Oh yeah, I watched it.
Yeah,
a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, so did I, and sort of reflecting on the impact of his book. And did you ever end up watching that or seeing that documentary?
No.
It's called "I Survived. I Kissed Dating Goodbye."
Right.
And I think you can watch it. Anybody can watch it online for free. Joshua Harris sort of goes around and talks to a number of people who were impacted by his book or had differing opinions about his book, because this dude wrote this book telling all these children what to do about dating, and then he got married at like 21 or 22. And how do you, it just seems like the ramifications of a young guy just saying, this is how you should approach all relationships.
Right.
So I'm glad he's sort of trying to reconcile some of that. And from what I think I read that the book is no longer being published. So I think it's just going to be donezo,
right,
which I think is smart.
Yep.
And then I saw that you posted this article, and I thought, I don't know, maybe this would be a worthwhile conversation for me and John to have and see what other people thought, because it's not too. But then I was also thinking, which is why I reached out to you, because having a conversation about sexual purity without including the voices of women, it would be silly, because obviously they're wholly separate experiences, and in many ways, I mean, both damaging, but in many ways, just as it's just women were really the focal point of a lot of it. But I wanted to hear some of your thoughts or your experience, whatever you're willing to share.
I also think it's interesting to hear. I'm interested to hear, your guys' perspective as well, because on the other end, most of what I've heard is from women. So
Right, of course.
I'm interested to hear, what it was like, especially because I think, a lot of us have had really similar upbringings, like I went to Christian school, and I went to church 100 times a week, and all that stuff. So I was in it like real deep.
Yep.
So it's been interesting because talking a little bit with Danny Stairs about it.
Yeah.
And it's been interesting to hear, from a guy's perspective what that was like also.
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway is it was a shit show for a lot of us.
It ruined everyone.
It ruined how I felt about my body. It ruined how I felt about sex and how I was allowed to feel about it or not feel about it, and just you're inherently evil and sinful, especially I think a lot of that burden was placed on women to not allow, not leading men into sexual impurity,
Right, because men can't control themselves at all. They're just giant babies.
Of course not.
And
we're walking dicks, and we just need something to fuck at all times. And
I'm not gonna deny that men are often walking dicks, but there is an element of your own self-control.
Yes, of course.
I definitely remember, those lectures as a teenager about, women really have to be careful what they wear, and you can't be too friendly, or you can't be, there's just so many rules, and I don't know, but I doubt the men were being told the same things.
Definitely not. So let's just pause here for a second, and I'm just going to try and distinguish between interview Andrew voice and my regular now podcasting voice. Mm-hmm. So John, what do you remember? Because we were both growing up in youth group. Did you, like, Jen sort of is joking about, like, yeah, boys were never told, don't you be careful what you wear or what there was never. It was a wholly sexist approach to this whole thing.
Or even if the goal is ostensibly to create healthy sexual dynamics between people, like, wouldn't you want to teach boys about consent? And
oh, we get there.
Okay.
No, but yes. I mean, if there is anything that you need to teach boys, it's let's make sure everybody's on board.
Right.
And but it's not about what you're saying about ostensibly to have healthy sexual. That's not. Of course, that's not what it's about.
Right.
It's about control. It's about having somebody else determine how you live your life and the choices that you make. And it's definitely not about health. It was.
Don't wear those tight jeans. We can see everything.
Yeah. So did you grow up? Did you sign any purity pledges or any of that?
I never did sign a purity pledge. I think even as a teenager, like, I kind of was a little wary about, like, signing anything or anything like that. I don't know. It just made me feel kind of weird. And I went to a lot of youth group things and stuff, but I don't remember going to anything where that was something that people did.
Right. Yeah, not unlike the Church of Scientology, where they make you sign, like, a 1 billion-year contract or something like that. It's like, yeah, if you walk into a religious organization, a church or otherwise some sort of faith place, and they're like, yeah, just sign on the dotted line about how you live your life.
Right.
Good on Jen for being skeptical.
Yeah, perhaps.
I mean, certainly lots of talks about, purity and saving yourself and all this stuff, but I don't recall any specific time where we were actually asked to sign anything. So I know that was a thing, but like promise rings and stuff were a big deal.
Sure,
I remember
sure.
that.
Did you know anybody who did, like, any of those daddy-daughter sort of ceremonies where they
oh my God, that's so creepy.
It is the grossest, creepiest thing I can possibly imagine.
I've seen some documentaries about it.
So, for people who are not familiar with this, the concept of a purity ball, John, you're familiar with the topic?
I feel like I had heard about this, but reading the article really brought it right to the top of my brain, unfortunately.
So imagine a dad with his prepubescent daughter in what can only be described as a combination between a dance and a wedding, where the dad and the daughter, like, I guess the dad makes a pledge to be a guardian of his daughter's virginity.
Right.
And she makes some sort of promise, and, like, she wears a ring from him.
Yeah. Real weird.
Fucking what?
Yeah.
And So, yeah, from this article, it says girls as young as 7 start attending father-daughter purity balls to pledge their abstinence until marriage, their fathers vowing to be the keepers of their daughter's virginity. Can you think up a more disturbing sentence?
It's tough. Tough to do that.
Yeah. I mean, for a father to have that sort of intimate connection to their child's sexuality.
Right. Real weird.
It's real gross. And, but it also takes away any bodily autonomy from the daughter.
Right.
And it's inherently sexist because it promotes this idea that girls need to be protected.
Right.
And they can't look after themselves.
Like those like shirts and posters and stuff that are like, if you're going to date my daughter, here are the rules. Blah, 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 you got to eat my gun or whatever. Like the point should be like, the rules are that my daughter gets to decide what kind of relationship she wants to be in.
Yep.
Anyway.
And if you're the kind of dad that's going to be like, you know, the boyfriend shows up, I'm going to be sitting in the living room polishing my shotgun. It's like, what kind of relationship are you trying to, what does it say about the trust you have for the daughter? And if you say, you know, well, I don't trust the guy, it's like, okay, why don't you have a conversation without a fucking gun?
Yeah.
You know, and also, what does it say about our culture that it's like you're inherently distrustful of young boys?
Right.
That says more than it does about, you know, your daughter and about sexuality. Because if we lived in a culture where young men were taught consent and respect, and we had a culture where we had a healthy relationship with sex, then this wouldn't be the problem. But we have daughters and fathers marrying each other over their virginity.
Normal.
Totally normal. So let's continue.
Stuff. I don't know anyone to my knowledge who did that.
I can't imagine anybody coming away from that experience not feeling some sort of scarring, because it's
right. Well, and I can't even imagine talking to like your 6 or 7-year-old child about protecting their virginity or something. Like, what is that? Like,
it's horrifying.
They barely know where babies come from at that point, and you're going to put all this on them.
Yeah,
like it's just crazy. Well, and I mean it's all part of the indoctrination, because it's like, get them while they're young so we can control the behavior.
Yep, exactly.
But I also think I think I Kissed Dating Goodbye, I don't know what year that came out, but I think I was probably in junior high or high school. So I think I might have been a little too old for the whole purity ball thing. I think maybe that came a little bit later.
Yeah. I thought
yeah.
Let me see. I kissed dating goodbye. This is the part of the conversation where I Google things. 1997. So I was in
high school.
Yeah, I was I guess I was in 8th grade then.
Yeah. Yeah, so maybe we were a little old.
Yeah. No, but not really, because the other side of the same coin. So I don't know for men, like how many of them bought into the I Kiss Dating Goodbye. I definitely remember seeing it at Christian bookstores. But the other side of the same coin was the Every Man's Battle. I don't know if you were familiar with that book series. John, do you remember that?
I think we talked about this on the pod before.
Did we?
That I referenced like Wild at Heart or one of those books, and you mentioned this one, which I was unfamiliar with, but I think I get the general gist.
Yeah, I definitely remember at the North Park bookstore, flipping through some of those pages, trying to sort out some of my shame.
I am, and I actually, so when I was going through my divorce, I went through I did a program called Divorce Care. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's like basically like a Christian type of support group for people who are getting divorced.
Okay.
And there were some really like shady things about it. You know, they don't recognize same-sex relationships and that kind of thing. But
shocking.
I know, it was an alarming situation. But I remember a guy in the group, like, suggested to all of us girls to read that book. Like, all of us had been cheated on. Like, that was going to make us feel better. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to read that.
No. Yeah, it's basically the struggle of jerking off is pretty much you men just all wrestle with lust and masturbation and porn and isn't this so shameful and just and I've talked about this on the pod, just my all of my sexual shame and feeling like, can't something please keep me from this lust within my heart, because I'm just so, and it's so damaging to these natural feelings of your own sexuality to try and tamp them down for decades, and then immediately we're supposed to turn them off at some point and be like, okay, it's okay now. You're literally flipping a switch, and it's like, nope, you fuck me up for decades, and what do you think is going to happen? This is psychological and emotional trauma that we have to unlearn.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't kiss someone till I was 24.
Wow. Was that because some of what was in this article that you had posted on Facebook was this one woman was, her particular story was, she felt like this was a gift, and was it something that you felt like I need to save this particular thing, or what was your approach to not kissing?
I think, for me, a lot of it was this idea that you should kind of save as much as you can for, whoever you're going to marry.
Yeah.
And I mean, to be honest, there wasn't a lot of dating. I was in school pretty continuously for most of my life. So I didn't have a ton of free time. But I ended up marrying that person.
Sure.
And I don't think that was a super great choice.
Well, it's...
Who knows how much of that played into it?
Well, I think it's also part of the I kiss dating goodbye courtship thing. It's
right.
It's dating is wrong because you're giving away pieces of yourself, and then the person you marry is essentially sloppy seconds or thirds depending on how many people you dated. So it's I don't have any issue with if people want to be intentional about the relationships they're in and be selective, and that's fine. But the sort of the pressure to, if you're going to court somebody, you're going to marry them. Was that something that you were even familiar? Because I never read I Kiss Dating Goodbye. So this was something that, at least in my circles, I totally missed, this idea of courtship. I mean, I could barely get a date in high school, so it wasn't really something I was entirely concerned about. I mean, I was just emo as fuck all the time. Anyway.
Yeah, I was aware of it. I feel like, again, I didn't really get the full scope of it until I was at our Evangelical college together, and that's when I saw I Kiss Dating Goodbye really kind of take off for people and hear about the whole idea of courtship and everything, but it wasn't really much part of my worldview as a kid or anything.
It would be weird. There's a couple more parts I think I want to share, so we'll keep going.
Right. And I think it's all the shame around it,
For sure.
I think it's fine to be intentional about, your relationships and the people that you have sex with and that sort of thing. I think that's, really important, actually. But it's the shame around it, the shame about, being a totally normal human being.
Right. So
and that's somehow bad, and that's going to ruin all of your future relationships.
Yeah. Yeah. And the woman in this poor woman in this article saying that, like, she literally couldn't give sex away because the men were like, oof, I don't want
Right.
that. I don't want that responsibility. That's not only is it maybe some men thought it was weird and creepy, or like, what's wrong with you? Why have you not had sex into your late 20s? What's going on? Or it's like, I don't want to be the guy that forever ruins sex, or you have this association. I mean, that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I could see that as being a lot of pressure. I remember it being, you know, once I got divorced and then started dating again, I felt like I was like 12 or 13 because I had to like learn how to like navigate relationships, but I felt like I didn't have any experience or any guidelines.
Okay, so I mean, that seems obvious to us now because it's like, so here's the deal. You're going to want to date. We're not going to give you any tools. And then at some point, you're going to be in a relationship and if it falls apart, good luck. You know, like you're literally giving people no tools for how to navigate this extremely complex way of, you know, conducting human sexuality and relationships. And it's just like, and like she said, like, what do you do at that point when you're just like, oh, so the entirety of everything I was taught was, either a lie or damaging or like, I don't even know, like my experience, I feel like again, like being a man in this whole mess of things, I can't even begin to comprehend.
Yeah. Yeah. And if they're setting you up for marriage being the end goal, but not doing anything to prepare you for that other than saying, that's when you can have sex, like you're just set up to fail because, you know, again, probably the underlying theme there is, well, if there's a problem, women should just submit to their husbands. Like I assume that's what the thinking is, or no, you don't need couples counseling. Just look in the Bible. That'll have the answers or whatever. It's in God's book, but sometimes you don't want to look, you know. I shook my head at you earlier because the part where you said, I don't want this responsibility. Yeah. I was very close to going, I don't want this responsibility. Anyway, sorry. What were you going to say?
Yes, that's that would have been pretty funny. So
it was all leading to that.
Yes, it's all about the MXPX puns.
Right.
You know, what was I even going to say? What were
I'm sorry.
What were you talking about?
Setting people up to fail, not preparing them for.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'll probably remember later, but let's hear a little bit more. Sure.
Because, you know, I had gone from nothing at all ever till you're married.
Right.
And then I was married, and then I suddenly wasn't married. But, like, I'm way older, and I feel differently about a lot of things, so...
Oh, I remember now. Pause this Jen Mandigo anecdote to share. But it's also weird that all of this emphasis on sex, as if that is the most important thing about any relationship.
Right. right, yeah. Mike Moen just showed up to do this.
John went from his last comment to smoking a pack of cigarettes. Yeah, boy. Yeah,
it's so true.
And now you're from New York.
Like just all these guys, they don't. It's.
I'm trying to stifle my coughs and it's coming out sounding like a weird person. Anyway, you were making like an important point. So.
Yeah.
That's true.
So
sorry,
what
everybody.
I'm saying about the intimacy in marriage,
yes.
Sex is great, but it's not the most foundational or significant part of my marriage.
Right.
And to pretend like falling back on that, like putting so much emphasis on it, it's almost always going to be you're setting people up to think like that this is the be all end all, and if it's not, then you're just like, fuck, this sucks.
It's not gonna be.
No.
Spoiler alert, especially for women.
Yeah, it's not always like, and also to assume that people like that sex is like the same for everybody.
Right.
It's a lie. It's not, and it's not going to be the same for everybody. So to like being to some conservative weddings and hearing all of the talk about the woman saving herself for the man and emphasizing that she's sharing this gift with him, it's just like, God damn it. Can we just pump the brakes on that? Like,
Yeah.
it's super gross to be like, let's make this a focal point of a wedding.
Yeah. I don't need to hear about it.
No, pass.
So
Sure.
it was weird. I felt like I was like 14, but I was, in my 30s. Like I felt like I was a teenager, like developmentally.
Yeah, I can relate in some ways. When I recognized I no longer believed in God, that was just sort of when you start pulling all those threads of like, well, I no longer believe this. What are the ramifications for the rest of this? And you're like, oh shit. So this affects how I look at sex. This affects how I look at, what I was taught growing up about my own body. And it took me, 5+ years of trying to navigate my own sexuality as a grown-ass man, and it's still fucking complicated. And
I don't know that it's ever going to be like, I kind of feel like some of that stuff is with me forever, and I have to kind of keep fighting against it.
Yeah.
Like, even as we talk to, like, our own kids about, like, our oldest is almost 14.
Jesus,
and so even as we, like, talk to him about stuff and are just really open about things in a way that I wish that my, parents had been.
Right.
It's still really hard for me to, like, I didn't have, like, a good role model for how to do that. And, you want to give your kids good sexual ethics, but you also don't want them to, have sex with everyone they meet.
Right.
I feel like it's this weird balance, like trying to parent around that when you didn't really have a lot of direction.
I think one of the biggest things, because you and your husband are parents to 2 boys, I mean, consent, I think, is one of the biggest lessons that young men need to take away from, because it's a weird dynamic in Christian circles that sex is something that women give away rather than
gatekeepers,
and rather than something that they wholly and willingly participate in. Right. And I think that is part of this whole conversation around rape culture and men feeling like it's something they are owed, and it's something that women give to them, and if they don't give it to them, then it's something that they take. And knowing that both parties are consenting to it and are willingly being a part of it, I think that's a whole big conversation and topic on its own. And I'm just glad that I grew up in a time without social media and without cell phones. Before we get into that, I feel like I want to scream this point from the rooftops because this idea that we live in a really fucked up time where rape is still somehow a thing that people question the motives of somebody who was raped. And raising young boys to men, like, I mean, I don't know. I don't have kids. You have 2 young boys. Have you thought about how you want to talk about this or how you start this conversation? Like how young you start it, or where does it, if you are willing to share, like, where does it start? Like, when does it start with you and your boys?
Yeah, I think, and I think I've talked about this on the pod before too, that like, it's one of many things we talk a lot about with raising 2 white boys. Like, what kind of people do we want them to be? And from everything that we sort of have read and looked at, you know, there's not really a too young to start with a lot of this stuff, whether it's race or justice stuff or stuff around sexuality. Like, it doesn't mean you have to be like, no, Elliot, like, never put your penis, like, not that kind of thing, but just like, you know, you can start talking about consent and autonomy and stuff. I mean, we've been talking about that for a long time with both boys. Like, this is your body. You don't have to do what, you know, you don't always have to give a hug if you don't want to give a hug.
Yes,
ask
100%.
Somebody else if you're going to give them a hug. Ask them that first. So I think it's, you know, I'm not saying like, so we nailed it, it's done. But like, it is something we think a lot about. How do we kind of hardwire these kids from the beginning to think about empathy and to think about other people's experiences, to not just take it as a given that you're going to get whatever you want. So, yeah.
I've been hearing that more about like, you know, telling young kids, now give so-and-so a hug or give so-and-so a kiss. You know, it's like they should be able to determine the level of intimacy they have with strangers or even family. Like, you know, like that's sort of giving them permission to have control or ownership over their body and giving them freedom to make those kinds of choices, I think is huge. And hey, man, kudos to you and Jenny for being on top of that. I think that's a really big deal.
Trying, at least.
Because the number of terrible mistakes I potentially could have made, you know, as a kid, Jesus Christ, I can't imagine being a kid right now.
Yeah, I mean, you're living your whole life on social media for people to see it.
Yeah.
At least my mistakes, I don't have to, you know, have my memories pop back up for me.
Yeah, my biggest mistakes were hairstyles and clothing choices, you know. So I'm curious, because you are a psychologist. What do you, I guess this is, I don't know if this goes into patient confidentiality, but like, I maybe in general, like, what kind of things do you hear from patients if this is a topic that comes up? What are you hearing as a medical professional in this? I guess, would you call yourself medical professional? I don't know what the proper mental health professional.
It usually falls under that, mental health, medical. I think, you know, for me, a majority of you know, discussions around sex and all that kind of stuff were when I was working with kids and families a lot, because the places where I've practiced have been really largely Mormon. Yikes. And so, you know, there's a lot of similarities in the, you know, conservative, you know, how conservative people are between, you know, really, you know, conservative Christianity and Mormonism are similar in a lot of ways.
Yes.
I mean, in some ways, Mormonism is even more conservative in terms of sexuality. So I would get parents that were afraid that their kid was going to be gay.
Yeah.
And some of the parents were afraid because they thought being gay was wrong, and some of them were afraid because they didn't want their child to be ostracized from the community.
Right.
Or we'd have, one parent was afraid the other parent wouldn't accept the child because of the religion. I had parents that thought their kids were sexual deviants because they masturbated.
Ugh.
Yeah, they'd actually we have the intake form, and they would fill out, concerns about sexual deviancy. And so I'd get, really serious here, and I'm like, are they perpetrating on other people? What's going on? And a lot of the times it would be, oh, well, I think they might be masturbating. And so that, for me was just like, I kind of had to give them that little talk about biologically what is normal.
Right.
And that, from a medical perspective, this is completely normal behavior. And that if it's something that you're really concerned about from a religious point of view, then you have to go talk to someone in your church. Like, that's not something that I do, because from my, my point of view, my training, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, sometimes his parents are like, well, I think she's masturbating. And I'm like in the living room, during,
at school,
dinner, yeah. They're like, oh no, I mean, I think sometimes in her room or whatever. And I'm like, okay. It's a problem if you're doing it at the dining room table, but if you're doing it alone in your room, then that's fine. That's normal.
Making eye contact with you, that would be something different. Yeah. So we talk for another almost hour and 40 minutes about a variety of topics.
Sounds like a pod episode.
Well, not even for the Patreon.
Yeah.
No, but we continue. But I mean, shout out to Dr. Jen for being so open and honest and sharing a lot of that, because I think this level of vulnerability is something so necessary. So many of us live in the shadows of shame, and that sounds like a fucking metal album.
The shadows of shame.
Back to the serious topic. No, but we live in the shadows. We are embarrassed and ashamed of certain things, or we think we're wrestling with certain things by ourselves. And that was especially prevalent when we were younger, but that still exists now, Yeah. People still feel lonely. People still feel misunderstood. And,
yeah,
I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm a Hufflepuff and I like human connection and talking with people and being honest and open. And that's, one of the ways I feel connected to people is doing the podcast and hearing stories. But,
yep.
I deeply appreciate Jen sharing and Nikki P sharing and everybody that, shared on our Instagram post. It's a serious thing. People deal with the ramifications of this. Yeah. And I think it's valuable to continue the conversation about how we move forward with these kinds of things, because you don't know what these sorts of scars are. They're deep. They are long lasting, and we're about the love, we're about the acceptance, and we're a community of people to we're trying to support each other. So,
yep.
So thank you all for this, being a part of this conversation.
Yeah. Thanks for calling in, Jen.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing that conversation today, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we appreciate these thoughts. And if you've got additional thoughts and ideas on the topic that you'd like to share, please do so.
Yeah. This is episode 28. I feel like we should have officially named these kinds of segments, the thoughts and ideas segment.
I mean, we forget to do our little bumper music most episodes. Maybe this one will nail it on a couple transitions.
Bro, I think you mean I forget.
Well, I forget by not saying anything.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't do anything, so it's hard to
you show up once a week with the hot takes.
Cough into the mic and call it a day.
Yep. So John, why don't we transition?
Let's do it.
Take a break,
mm-hmm.
and then when we come back, we'll drink till we fall down.
Pour a little more whiskey.
Yes.
Get ready for this.
I'm ready. I'm so ready. My body is ready. All right.
Sounds so good.
All right, John.
Sounds even better with this whiskey.
All right. Yep. All right. I am so ready for
Talking Tumbledown.
Talking Tumbledown. That's our next podcast.
That's right. I think it's happening right now.
I'm Andrew.
Well, we haven't done
we haven't done the best life voice because we haven't had a best life in a solid minute.
Maybe we need a separate whiskey voice.
It's the same voice.
I think it's this coffin voice.
It's the coffin voice.
I'm ready to talk Tumbledown. I'm ready to tumble down with you.
I'm ready to tumble down. I'm gonna pour myself a little bit of. You gotta get a little bit of a twang.
That's right. Little more of a twang than our best live voice.
It's just the best live voice with a twang.
Yeah, well,
it's the best twang.
Yep.
Okay, so let's talk TD.
Let's do it.
So we're gonna talk the first full length Tumbledown record.
Yes.
In this episode,
the plan for now is to do the first LP this ep, the second LP the next ep, and then a third ep about the EP and various 7-inch songs and other miscellany.
Yep. So this album
and the live record.
Yep, we're gonna do it all. This album came out in 2009, so this was between Secret Weapon and Plans. This was sort of the MXPX All Stars era.
Right. You know, sorry, I was just going to briefly interject to say,
you asshole! How dare you?
That was me throwing the table over. I was thinking about the fact that you generally think of that period as being like, you know, before MXPX came out with another record, the All Stars, but like between Secret Weapon in 07 and Plans in 12, you've got Tumbledown's first 3 songs EP in 2007.
Right.
You've got Tumbledown's Atlantic City EP in 2008.
Right.
In 2009, you've got the Tumbledown LP, On the Cover 2, Punk Rock Christmas, and Left Coast Punk EP. And then in 2010, Tumbledown's second record and the Arthur LP. That's nuts. That's so much to pack into those few years.
That is a lot.
So I think I, in the past, thought about it as like, that's kind of when they were like on their hiatus, but they were doing so much stuff.
Well, Mike was doing all of it. How much of the albums was he doing?
All of it.
All of the albums. Yeah, he was a busy bro. But we all know that this kind of came about because of the
Late
Again from Panic.
Mm-hmm.
Our 4 and 5 albums.
Yep. As if I couldn't love Panic anymore, the fact that it also spawned an offshoot country band. I mean, that album contains so much.
It's funny that we go from our last episode talking Arthur to Tumbledown. These couldn't be 2 more different projects. Yeah. You know, Mike being earnest and being like, you know, America,
Right.
you know, like, and this one's like, I'm gonna get drunk and fucking fight you.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and the fact that they were happening like kind of simultaneously.
Yeah.
Like it makes me appreciate Arthur even more because it's like he was doing so many different kinds of things, and it's just that's so cool.
This is why I posted that meme.
It was a solid meme.
That he's just so he's very versatile. He's he can do it all.
Mm-hmm.
That Mike Herrera.
Good guy.
Yep.
Handsome.
And
good guy.
handsome, talented. And what can't he do? So Mike joined forces with the Rocky Point All-Stars. Jack Parker, which many people will be familiar with from the MXPX era, where he was their second guitarist.
Right, and he played on Late Again on the record.
Yeah, he did play. He's played on some records. Marshall Troutland and Harley Troutland make up Tumbledown and
Rhythm Section.
Yeah, man.
Troutland Brothers.
Dude,
Upright bass.
I love that upright bass.
Sounds so good.
Sounds fucking tight.
Yep.
So I just remembered I brought the
You got your bag of goodies?
my bag of goodies.
Snowballs in there?
Yeah, H-bomb, man. He's throwing balls.
Yep.
You know, I like that Mike came to our defense on Twitter the other day.
Yep.
After Danny Stairs was trying to bus toss us.
And I referred to him as the H-bomb, and he seemed fine with that.
Well, he referred to himself as the H-bomb.
Well, it's never going to go away now.
Nope.
Toodaloo.
Toodaloo, motherfuckers. What if that's how? What if that's how the Die Hard movies ended? Instead of yippee-ki-yay,
Toodaloo, motherfucker.
it was Toodaloo, motherfuckers.
I would support it.
Yep, I'm on board. So this album has a number of guest musicians on it, but it was also produced and engineered by Mike.
It was
at Monkey Trench, but still mixed by our boy Stephen Edgerton. Dude's got his hands on so many Mike Herrera projects, and I love it because this album sounds fucking great.
It really does.
So can we talk about the cover of the
cover is rad.
Yes.
I'm into it.
I kind of want to get that as a tattoo.
You know,
because
I was
it is dope.
Thinking about this recently that maybe this is a betrayal of our podcast, but if I were to choose between the Pokinancha Punk and the skull from Tumbledown on my body, I think I'm going with that skull.
Wow.
Looks cool as hell.
Yeah. Artwork by Oliver Peck.
Yeah. I think he did a bunch of their stuff.
Yep.
The EP cover.
Photos by our boy Jared Scott, of course.
Of course.
So I want to shout out Harley Troutland on this record because the drums are great.
Sound really good.
Yeah, of course we're fans of our boy Yuri, the Urinator.
Yes.
But the musicianship on this album is first rate.
Yeah, it sounds great. It's they're all great players. I mean,
yeah.
And I think Rocky Point All-Stars have since broken up, but I love that they came together for this. There's pretty much a killer guitar solo on every track.
Mike shreds on this record.
Yeah, how much of it is Mike and how much of it is Jack? I sort of was assuming that a lot of it was Jack, but then I saw some videos where he was playing some of those solos, so...
Well, I don't know. Yeah, because it says that Jack is lead guitar.
I'm assuming he's doing most of those solos.
Do you think he's doing a lot of... Because Mike can still shred.
He can.
He can carry his own.
He also sounds great vocally on this record.
Yes, This is... I mean, there are some moments where it's like... It sounds like a little nasally, but I don't care.
Yeah, I had this debate in my head, sort of, where it was like... It's a little bit different for a typical sort of alt country band. He's got a different voice for that kind of thing. But this is kind of somewhere between alt country and cowpunk or, that kind of thing. And I think his voice is kind of somewhere in between. So, like, I think it's a cool match. It's a little different. I like it.
So, okay, you historically not a big emo fan, as we talked to Arthur.
Right.
Where do you land with country, bluegrass kind of music?
Very pro.
Interesting.
I think I said in the first step even that like Johnny Cash was my main dude growing up.
Okay.
And still kind of is. And
See, but that's a different kind of country.
it is. I mean, I think Social D I've talked a lot about too, like just kind of that vibe. And you've said this. Okay, so some context here. I didn't know Tumbledown. I knew that they existed and I'd heard Let's Drink and a few songs here and there, but this is really the first time that I've
Done that deep
dove
dive.
in, and I love it. And I think, yeah, like the fact that a lot of those songs on earlier records, I would say I love that kind of cowpunk, punkabilly vibe, and you'd be like, I think you're going to be into Tumbledown. Like,
Yeah.
it's very much a continuation of that sound.
Sure.
So I'm into it. I mean, I think it's got kind of that folky Woody Guthrie vibe going too, which I'm super into. So it combines a lot of sounds that I like. I guess I'll just say that.
Sure.
How about you?
You know, my feelings about country, I still am not I'm not pro pop country.
No.
Sorry, April.
I like some T Swift.
No, but see, that's
I really only liked her after she went full on pop, though.
yeah. You know, so here is where I started softening. Sturgill Simpson's
Yeah, that's
Metamodern Sounds and Country Music, which I think was that 2014?
Sounds right.
Or is it, what was it, 2015? Well, 2014. Metamodern Sounds and Country Music is the second studio album by Sturgill Simpson. And the first time I heard that album, I was like, holy shit, it's not pop country.
Yeah.
It's not, it sounds sort of like traditional, but it's not.
Yeah.
It has these like weird psychedelic vibes at times, and he's from Kentucky, so he's like, it's still country.
Right.
But-
Totally. Kind of a similar, I mean, Jason Isbell.
Yes,
Drive-By
Jason
Truckers
Isbell.
vibe,
Yeah. And it was and Sturgill sort of prepared me for the Jason Isbell and the what's his band called? The 400 Unit.
Yeah.
And then I also think preparing me a little bit more for Tumbledown, because I don't think if I heard Tumbledown in 2009 or 2010, I don't think I would have been ready. I just don't think my heart wasn't prepared to find the brilliance and the glory that is Tumbledown.
It's funny because I had, as we've discussed, kind of tuned out around, Secret Weapon time, didn't know plans, and I think my general thinking at the time had probably been like, I'm sort of off the MXPX train, or I wasn't ready to receive it at the time. But like, I think if I would have heard Tumbledown and I knew if that's what he was up to, I probably would have been pretty into it. So I am now sad I never got to see them live. I hope I get to eventually.
Well, here's the thing though. I know Arthur is officially disbanded.
Yeah. No, I don't think Tumbledown is done.
I don't know if Tumbledown is officially disbanded, because I'm wondering, because they took their music off of streaming services. So I'm wondering if they're preparing for something.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if they're gonna do some sort of a re-release or
I'd be into that.
or something like that.
As far as I know, I mean, yeah, we should also say both of these records are on the End Sounds label out of Austin. And as far as I know, they're still a part of that. I don't know. I don't think it's like just Rock City's going to put their stuff out. So
I'm wondering if there is they're trying to
get their stuff back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet that's part of it. I think they're trying to. I bet they'll try and get this back into their ownership and their. I think if there's anything I've been learning in recent months, it's that ownership and rights of the music is kind of where they're putting a lot of their efforts. Yeah,
and I would fully support that. I know it's clearly this is the year of MXPX and 2018 into 2019 and bless you.
Thank you.
They're fully focused on that and I fully support that, but like I would not mind at all if after that focus shifts a bit that Tumbledown came back into the picture.
Yep. Man.
One other thing I was going to say quick is just like, we talked a little bit about lyrics being a stumbling block for me with the Arthur records. I think the lyrics on all the Tumbledown stuff are really strong. I think they're a really good fit for Mike. And these kind of stories seem to come naturally to him. And they feel right coming out of him as a singer. I really like it.
Yes. Yeah. I know. There's some songs where, there's some songs where I'm just like, he's probably stretching the truth a little bit.
Yeah, I think he's being a character sometimes.
He's being a character in the ways that a lot of singer-songwriters, they're like maybe trying to write from a perspective and maybe not being autobiographical.
Yeah.
But do we
should we dive in?
Should we?
Should we tumble into Tumbledown?
Should we, also I feel like there are some of these songs when you start getting some of the first swears in a Mike Carrera project.
Yep.
Because, so starting as early as almost a decade ago.
Yeah, it's funny that this stuff came out relatively close to being on Tooth and Nail for Secret Weapon and stuff because it feels pretty different vibe.
Well, there's one song on here that still has a kind of a secret weapon vibe, but a better vibe.
I'm curious.
Yeah, let's get to it. Let's get to. Hey, John. Before we get there, shall we?
We should.
Let's drink.
Let's do it.
Let's drink till we fall down. Let's drink, I'll see you on the ground. Let's drink till we fall down. There's nothing else to do here in this town. I try to talk to you, there's nothing right that I can say. There's nothing good that I can do, my stupid mouth gets in the way. The only thing that I can think to say is let's drink till we fall down. Let's drink, I'll see you on the ground. Let's drink till we fall down. There's nothing else to do in this town. Don't make up your mind unless your mind's made up on me. I'll take a Greyhound bus and ride from sea to shine and say.
My number one.
Oh, it's your number one.
Yeah.
Wow.
This rules.
It does rule.
It rules.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
I had another thought for what would be your number one. But yeah, it's a contender, but it's not in my top three.
I thought about it a lot, and this is one of the songs that I did know. I think he played this when we...
I thought a lot about... Oh, this is a different episode.
Yeah. I think he played this at Punktoberfest, didn't he?
He
might have. I think he did.
Because I was thinking about it on the way over. I'm trying to think, because he did play a Tumbledown song.
Yeah.
But I was trying to think, did he play because there were kids there? Did he drink? Did he play a song about drinking?
I think so. I think he did. I've definitely heard him play it solo acoustic anyway. So, I've definitely heard this song. And I was like, well, I don't know. There's probably some deeper cuts that I like more here. But I was just like, it sets off the whole vibe for them so well. I feel like it's so great musically. Just immediately has that,
Yep.
Really fun lyrics. I love the harmonies. There's a great guitar solo. It just kind of feels like an instant classic. Like it feels like this is a song that if I ever heard it, you know, come on a jukebox or at a show, I'd just be like so psyched to sing along with. So
it's the chorus is so fun to sing along with.
Yeah, it's harmonies. Good job, Jack.
Super into it. Yeah, I love harmonizing with so many of the songs on this record.
I don't know. I said Jack because he does it live, but like maybe that's Mike harmonizing on the record. Jack definitely does backup vocals, but
he does.
Anyway, whoever's doing it there sounds good.
Into it. All right, let's move on to Butcher of San Antonio. Butcher of San Antone, my number one.
Okay. Did you think this was going to be my number one?
I did.
Yeah, it's not in my top 3.
That is so shocking to me.
It was the hardest one to leave off. It's my number 4.
That is unbelievable. How can I constantly be so wrong?
You weren't wrong because... Ooh, wait, that was too loud. You weren't wrong because I love it, and it definitely has that Chop Shop vibe, which is why I'm assuming you thought I would be super into it.
Yes.
It's that great, real country murder ballad stuff that I'm super into. This is Country Mike plus Dark Mike, which I'm definitely into. So, yeah, it was hard to leave off, but I just love the other 3 so much.
We need to get to Nicole Pike on this song.
Oof. I love this slowed down bridge.
How can you not?
I know.
I love this.
I might be convinced by the end of this to put it in.
It sounds so good.
It does.
Shut your damn mouth.
This is retribution. This is an execution.
And that little guitar
That's so
lick.
Good. It's
so good.
It was a tough one to leave off. I think, so we should say Nicole Pike was of the band Wrecking Machine from Bremerton. She's kind of filling that Emily Whitehurst shaped hole in your heart for this record.
It is. Yeah, she is. I mean, but she pulls it off.
Oh, she sounds awesome.
She sounds
so good.
fucking great.
Did you watch the video for this?
No.
Oh, you got to check it out. It's so cool. It's like, so it's directed by this guy, Joe the Visualist.
Okay.
It's like not the highest budget, but that doesn't matter because it almost fits this like sort of cheap, like exploitation movie vibe. It's very dark and bloody and creepy and like, I'm super into it. So yes, the whole vibe around this song, I am into. I don't know. I might have to call an audible and throw this into the top 3 by the end of this up. We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
but,
I'm pulling up that video.
Mike looks cool as hell. He's in this like cool white shirt, got some suspenders going.
Oh yeah,
it's this like
dude with a mullet.
Yep, set in Mexico appears to be. Or San Antone, perhaps. Anyway, it rules. You should watch the whole thing. Yeah, the butcher shows up. He's a masked man, takes care of business. It's cool.
That is sweet.
Yeah, that's the only video from this record as far as I know. But
into it. Yeah, that I mean the
Oh wait, there's one more. We'll get to it.
breakout of history.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go! Let's read all the books that have been sitting on the shelf. Take all the promises and keep them for ourselves. Face the so-called music when it's staring back at you. Tell all the others, tell the masses, tell the few. Tell all the others, tell the few. Let's break out of history and stand still for a while. Try to make some sense of this and smile, smile, smile. Do you hear the future out there knocking on the door? Hands in hand, the progress, they are coming in for sure. It's your turn to open up the door. Tell me why you're so sad. Tell me why you'd be better off alone. Tell me who you are, where you've been along the road. Tell me all the stories from your trouble.
This song also rules.
It's my number 3.
This was a song I thought for sure was going to be on your top 3, but I've been known to be wrong.
It's a little bit of a protest anthem.
Yep, it feels very Woody Guthrie.
Yes, I've got
Very
Woody Guthrie in my
Guthrie.
notes. Talking justice, man. I'm really into it.
Yeah, that's do you believe the presidents and the men that tell their lies? There's something in the tonic that is blurring out our eyes. The enemies are laughing as the allied forces cry. No one wins a battle when your son or brother dies.
Yep.
The only way to truly win, to keep your dreams alive. Rats get fat while good men die.
Pretty good.
It's
pretty strong stuff.
It's a really solid song, and
it's just so fun too.
Yep,
that bridge is great.
All the guitar licks on this album are so great.
Good. I mean, Jack/Mike.
Whoever is playing those licks sounds fucking great.
Yep, so good.
Super into it.
I lied about the videos. The other 2 videos that I was thinking of are from the Atlantic City EP.
Oh, gotcha.
So we'll get there.
Yep. We're moving on to moving on. All right.
Someday I'll quit this job and walk right out the door. This 9 to 5 has got me down and I'm moving on for sure. Feels like a lifetime I've been sitting in this room. Feels like the right time, so won't be leaving soon. Right now I am here, and I'll be leaving soon. 'Cause I'm moving on. Soon I'll be gone. I'm moving on. I'm moving on. This time tomorrow I'll be gone.
Nice acoustic solo there.
Yep. It is my number 3.
Cool. Yeah, I dig it. It's there's some interesting stuff happening lyrically here with like salvation and grace.
Yep. There are a handful of songs on here on this record that are just, they have some of the classic country motifs, not just like the obvious overt like drinking sad songs and everything, but like, as you said, the sort of the Woody Guthrie style protest anthem.
Right.
This is the moving on. It's sort of like the kind of like the take your job and shove it kind of song, like fuck working for the man. I'm going to pursue my dream.
Yeah.
This feels like, kind of like a blue collar kind of song.
Definitely.
So that kind of a vibe. But the choruses, the almost like the call and response in a way.
Yeah, I love it.
The moving on. It's great.
So good.
Yep.
I mean, I feel like I'm going to say this for a lot, but a lot of these really were contenders for the top 3. Like,
Yeah.
I do not dislike any Tumbledown songs.
Yep.
Which is a different review than I had of Arthur. Not that I was like, I didn't have any. So
let's not do any revisionist history of your feelings about Arthur.
I've referenced my color coding, and red is what I have for songs that I don't like at all. I don't think there was any red in Arthur, but there was not any yellow, which was the really like it. And there's a lot of yellow in Tumbledown. I'll say that. So,
yep, there is a lot to like about this record.
Yeah,
there is nothing to dislike. I don't dislike anything about this. As passionate as I was about Arthur, if I had to choose, if I had to do a Sophie's choice
between the two,
Tumbledown for sure wins.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
You're so into Arthur.
Yes.
You're super into Tumbledown.
Tumbledown is fucking awesome.
Agreed.
Which is why when I said at the beginning of this episode, I swear to God, if you don't like
it would have been a real bummer if we were just like completely off base with each other again on this one.
Yeah, it would have been a huge bummer because I would have questioned, like, objectively, yes, Arthur, emo, and that kind of style, like I guess I can understand why some people might be like, it's not really my thing. But then, like, you post a Pedro the Lion 5-minute video of, like, this slow kind of melancholy song, and I'm just like, bro, I don't get it.
It's a different kind of vibe.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, I'm still here.
To the start and see if you still care. Want you to feel my heart and know that I'm still here. I'm slurring my words, all the faces are blurred. I guess I should call it.
Boom. So great.
I love where those vocals go.
Yep.
It's so good.
The melody choices
yep.
on that chorus are sublime.
Into It. Features John Davis of Superdrag, who you might remember from Who Sucked Out the Feeling. That's that dude sing. You don't remember that song? Ooh, that's a jam.
Probably.
That's a 90s alt-rock classic. Look around and you bring somebody down. Anyway, we'll watch it later.
Okay, deal.
But yeah, he's doing the harmonies there. A little surprising, I don't know.
Yeah,
sounds great.
It does. Super into it, but I'm so excited to get to my number 2.
Ooh.
But we're not there yet.
1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, God, this song is so good.
Let's go.
That bass.
For what it's worth, I'm a man, and I got me a plan. I'm gonna walk back in that bar and start drinking again. Well, that is all that I've known ever since I was shown that life can't get much worse when you ain't got a home.
on that song
It sounds great.
adds so much great texture.
Yeah.
Even though it's just those little plinking, you know, it does a lot.
For sure. Sounds great.
I like I'm going to walk back in that bar and start drinking again. That's
so good.
That's such a great line.
There's a lot of just like super solid lines that you feel like should have been in a country song that came out 50 years ago.
Yeah,
but Mike just wrote it.
There are a lot of great quotables.
Yeah.
If you want to use like, you know, when you think about that line, you usually think about like rap songs. Like,
sure,
what's a great like? But I'm gonna walk back in that bar, start drinking again. It's great.
Pretty good.
Pretty
good.
A aforementioned song about maybe not so much about Mike, but we'll see.
I think it's about Tom Tichilla.
That dude came to fight.
I came here to drink and I came here to fight. I'm all out of beer, so let's take it outside, outside. Let's take it outside. World tumbling down like the pouring rain. Drink that whiskey, you won't feel no pain. So raise your glass up and drink it down. There's nothing else to do for miles and miles around. 'Cause I came here to drink and I came here to fight. I'm all out of beer, so let's take it outside, outside. Let's take it outside.
Super fun.
Super fun. It's a really fun song. Again, speaking of great lines,
Yeah.
it's reminiscent of I came here to kick ass and chew
Chew
bubble
bubble
gum,
gum.
and I'm all out of gum.
Yes. I believe it's a wink to that.
Yep. But yeah, it's a solid line. But he also drink that Scotch whiskey.
Or bourbon.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I don't normally think of Scotch and country songs.
It's true.
I usually think of
Yeah.
bourbon, but I am a big Scotch fan. We were
Yeah.
drinking some of that Scotch. I don't
It's
even
true.
think we mentioned that last week. Just
were
sort of like
drinking Scotch.
on that DL, just drinking that Scotch.
Just that Lagavulin.
That
Under the
Lagavulin.
radar.
Yeah. My good woman gonna raise my spirits like the last shot in this town.
That's pretty good.
Great line.
Dude.
Great line. Mike, you
were
brought
born to be a
yeah.
cowboy.
You brought your A game lyrically
true.
for this record. So fucking awesome. Love it, love it, love it. I'm gonna share some of that love on this song. Oh shit.
Hello.
I'm seeing trouble all day long. I'm seeing things that don't belong. I got a bad feeling that this won't come out right. Been seeing trouble all my life. It'll cut you down to size. Don't matter what you've done, don't matter how hard you fight. That's right. Secondhand high. Secondhand high. Tonight is looking better 'cause I'm working on a secondhand high. Been feeling heartache all my days. Every time the jukebox plays my favorite songs, and I don't have no one to sing along with. When the heartache won't let go, when you never been so low, find yourself a
Fucking yes. That's my number 2.
Nice.
This
Yeah.
song kicks so much ass.
It does.
That double time right there.
Yeah. It's great.
The guitar dropping out with just the drums.
Yeah. the ascending riff on the chorus, like it's so great.
This song has Wilco AM all
for sure.
over it.
Yeah, that's true.
And if you just heard me say Wilco AM and you don't know what I'm talking about, get your shit together.
I knew you were going to say that.
Go listen to Wilco's first album, AM, and listen to some kick-ass alt country, and you're going to be like, where the fuck have I been?
You're going to be like, this is Wilco AMAF.
Yep.
That was one of those great lines you were talking about.
Exactly. That was a Mike
classic quotable
Mike Herrera.
You got to shout out those ending woo-woo-woos.
Oh, I'm going to get there, bro.
Good.
Shredding guitar?
Love it. Yeah. Love it.
Fucking great.
I want to sing woo-woo-woo in response at a show. That's the only way the song would have been better if they were saying toodaloo.
But not in your top 3?
No, but again, seriously, like, so many of these could be.
Top 4?
No, because Butcher San Antonio's got to be number 4. It's in the top 10.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't reached my top 4 yet.
Okay, so your number 1 is Butcher.
My number 1 is Butcher.
Number 2, Secondhand.
Secondhand,
okay.
And then Moving On is my number 3.
Okay.
So we haven't heard your number 2?
Not yet.
Okay.
Wait for me to come back to you and do the things you wanted to and tell you that I need you to see things from your point of view. If I could only make the grade, but I pulled the pin and held the grenade, and then I drank the poison down and spilled the antidote on the ground. My sweet darling dear, hold me, my sweet darling dear, hold me, my sweet darling dear, hold me near, hold me near. I've got to go, but I'll be back soon. About the time the flowers.
My sweet darling dear.
My sweet darling dear. This song has the most MXPX lyric in it.
For sure.
Do you know what it is?
The lyric?
Yes.
The dislocated?
Yes, maybe my heart's just dislocated.
Very well-adjusted vibes.
Yes.
Dislocated.
Yeah, this is a MXPX rubbing off. You can take the boy out of MXPX.
Yeah,
but you can't take the MXPX out of the boy.
It's a little more punk than most of the songs on the record.
Yeah.
Which is helped by Jeff Turner of Say Anything, featured on the harmonies here, laying down some background vocals.
Boom.
Yeah, fun energy on this song, for sure. I am into it.
Yeah. I am also into it. I mean, it's probably... It might be my least favorite song on the record.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still a fun song, but...
Sure.
I like the energy. I like the vibe. But the chorus doesn't really stack up against some of the
I think that's fair.
solid courses we have.
Mm-hmm.
Now on to Son of a Gun.
These fading jeans have seen some better days under the sun, burning ablaze. The bright day we met in the spring of '1. I tried to pull your heartstrings like I was pulling a gun. 'Cause my days are numbered, my days are done. My daddy was a I'm on my way. There's no heartache. Simple place to stay. 'Cause my days are numbered. My days are done. My daddy was a pistol and I'm just a son of a gun.
This is my number 2.
It's my number 4.
Yeah,
This
it's so
this
good.
barely
I love it.
This barely
Yeah.
made it out of this. This was a swap for Moving On.
Okay. Yeah.
This is it because, gosh, they're both. I mean, this the John Snodgrass does the vocals on that. He
sounds great.
Have you listened to Drag the River?
So I didn't know them before this, but they're
me neither.
great.
They're so great.
He's got a great voice.
He does.
I love that voice.
Chad Price, the lead singer of All, and JJ Nobody of the punk band Nobodies are in this
interesting. I didn't realize that.
Drag the River. So it's like a sort of like a super group.
Yeah, like an alt country punkish group. Yeah, they are awesome.
Yeah,
and he sounds so good. It's funny because when I first heard it, I was like, "Oh, this dude is 70.
Yes,
he must have been in the country
sure.
scene for decades."
For sure.
Then I'm like, "Oh, he's like the same age as Mike."
Yeah, he has that. His voice has that gravitas.
Totally.
Where you're just like, oh man, this guy is like seen some heartache and
yeah. I think so. I'm into the song when it starts, but then when that bowed bass comes in, I'm just like, oh, take me there.
Yeah.
And then when John Snodgrass comes in, I'm like, this is my number 2.
Yep.
So yeah,
Save me some land there.
He just sounds. Yeah. He sounds perfect. The line, "My daddy was a pistol and I'm just the son of a gun," is just that's
amazing.
Like iconic line.
It's amazing.
I mean, it's great. So
such a great song.
We like it.
Yep. Do you like it? Because I really like it.
Yep.
I don't know. I might need to.
See, that's how I feel about Butcher.
I know, man. Like, I just feel like, should Son of a Gun switch out with Moving On? I don't know. They're both.
I'm so into it.
Yeah. This part where he's like, 17.
Yeah,
17
what is he even?
was a weird one.
It was a weird one. Yeah. He's like
fucking
counting,
wild.
right? Yeah, fucking wild. I love that. Ugh.
Meet me where the tall grass grows in your
I just want to hear this part here.
My days are numbered. They're fucking wild. My days are done. My daddy was a pistol and I'm just a son of a gun. 17 is a weird.
Yeah, I love that.
So
It's so cool.
It is a great fucking song.
This one became like a new. I need to see this live Mike song, which I don't know if I ever will, but
no, but that bowed bass,
it just
that
sounds
sound,
so
that
good.
sound at the end.
I love
So
the sound
great.
of an upright bass, maybe more than like any instrument. I played bass as a kid and still do, and like I started taking upright bass lessons not long after I learned on the electric, and I never got great at using the bow. Like I didn't play in orchestra, I played in jazz band and stuff, but whenever I would try the bow, I was just like, God, that sound is so satisfying. It just sounds so good and
it's
rich.
so rumbly and rich is the right word. It's just so. Gotta love that thick ass bass,
That's
man.
right. I'm all about that bass.
No
trouble.
There's a place down south that I dream about where the sun shines all year round. Waving weed through the fields and the home-cooked meals. You can sleep right on the ground. Homeward bound, I'm homeward bound. To my ears such a sweet, sweet sound. I had my head up in the clouds, my feet are on the ground. Fucking wild. I'm homeward bound. It's a long, hard road and it warms my soul to know that I'm almost.
So I don't think it would be a country album or a cowpunk album without the the line, "Oh Lord."
Oh Lord.
It sounds, that's like, it's almost like necessary. But
Yeah,
that
totally.
that has, it has that, the "Oh Lord" has it's a hymnal
Yeah.
sort of quality to it. And we talk about the sort of the motifs that are found in a lot of country, like you said, protest, the quitting your job, the love songs, the broken heart, but also the "Oh Lord" refrain.
Yeah,
it's
great.
You'll find that in a lot of hymns. What's the word I'm looking for?
Gospel song?
Maybe gospel, like the traditional spirituals.
Yeah.
I guess is what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, spirituals.
Yeah, the spirituals. Like if you hear it, like listen to a lot of those, oh Lord, like that sort of like take me down to the river kind of style spirituals.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
This one is great. This one is definitely a top 3 contender for me. It's a real barn burner.
Yep.
I love the bass line and the breakdown there. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
And this was a Rock Band song, like on the video game for guitar, which makes...
What?
I'm pretty sure. I saw a video of it, which makes sense because it's like, holy cow. That's
this last
a bass
verse
guitar.
too.
Yeah. The lyrics are super fun.
Homeward bound to my ears, such a sweet, sweet sound. I had my head up in the clouds, my feet are on the ground. Oh Lord, I'm homeward bound. Oh Lord, I'm homeward bound.
Where's the...
Homeward bound, I'm homeward bound to my ears, such a sweet, sweet sound. I had my head up in the clouds, my feet are on the ground.
It's almost required to yell yeehaw.
I want to yell yeehaw live. Yeah. Ding, 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 ding. Ugh, it's so good.
You can smell it in the air. It's
Yes.
the Kitsap County Fair. Can't you
Way
hear 'em
deep down
holler
south in
and
Kitsap
shout?
County.
I got a plan that just can't lose. I'm gonna drink up all the booze, and then they'll have to carry me out.
Talk about great lines.
That's the line I was searching for.
So great.
Drink up all the booze, and they'll have to carry me out.
It's perfect. I do love though that he's like, there's a place down south when he's talking about the Kitsap County Fair, which is like northwest Washington. But I don't know exactly what he's referencing. So, yeah, I am super into this one.
Yeah.
That's the whole album.
Except for
Some fucking around.
not just that.
Oh yeah. He good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a weird one.
Fucking wild.
I mean, they're pretty good.
But here's the thing. Inexplicably, after the whole album, on the CD, you have a bonus track
Yeah.
of the whole album
Yeah.
in one track.
Never know when you're going to need it, I guess.
I guess?
I don't know.
I mean, could I have said that the second bonus track was my number one?
That's a cheat too far, sir.
just encapsulate the whole thing. Be like, hey man, it's my fucking number one.
Well, this album is number one in my heart. I really love Tumbledown. And this feels like another one of those moments for me where like Panic and even Plans to some extent, and now Tumbledown, where I'm just like, I am so glad I now have this in my life. Like, it's so cool. So
yeah, in some ways it's like, oh man, I wish I could have been there, but then it's like, I'm glad that my heart was ready to receive this
you
at
just
this
needed
time.
Yeah. This would be so fun live, these songs. So.
Yeah. So Here's a question.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see Tumbledown? Let us know. Tell us your Tumbledown stories. Tell us how much whiskey was being poured at these Tumbledown shows, because I imagine it was quite a lot.
I hope so.
It better be, because we've been pouring the whiskey tonight.
It's true. How you feeling?
Feeling
Still
good.
feeling steady?
I'm feeling a lot better than I was at the end of the self-titled record, because
that was a momentous ep. All right. Well, we have tumbled into Tumbledown. We had a great time.
We'll continue tumbling.
We will, in fact. If you have thoughts about this particular episode of Tumbledown, you can go ahead and...
This episode of Tumbledown?
Well, yeah, that's what we changed the name of the podcast to, right? This episode of...
Shit, I didn't know.
Tumbledown-focused content. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
Pod.
That's right. Poddle Down. You can rate and review us or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, YouTube.
Boom. You can leave us a voicemail, 872-762-4763, 8727-MAG-POD.
You can email us at magnifiedpod@gmail.com.
And do just that.
And on our next episode, we will cover part 2 of Tumbledown, when it'll be about time for a podcast at our house. And it wouldn't be the same without you. So join us, won't you?
These fading jeans have seen some better days. Under the sun, burning ablaze. The bright day we met in the spring of '1. I tried to pull your heartstrings like I was pulling a gun. 'Cause my days are numbered, my days are done.
25 in a bunch
My daddy was a pistol and I'm just a son of a gun.
It was a gun and it was weird gun.
Fucking wild. Save me some land there.